Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of RobertoBlake.com, helping you create something awesome today with my friend Cielo.
Hey there.
Yeah, so we have something interesting for you today. We're going to be talking about selling online courses with Teachable. It's another great way to monetize. It's a great source of passive income, something I've talked about here on the channel a couple of times. And Teachable is one of the best online course platforms that you can develop. It also is great for actually just selling information products in general. And so you've actually recently developed your first Teachable course, and it's around something that's near and dear to my heart. It's around photography and videography.
Yes.
But it's also about doing it with just your smartphone.
Yes.
Something I've been talking about a lot more.
Yes, you have.
I really believe in it. So why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about your background, how you got started, and then let's get into some questions about how to start and launch an online course with Teachable.
Sure. So I got started with smartphone photography actually. When the iPhone 6 first came out, I was prolific. I loved the phone, I loved the tool, and what happened was Apple actually found some of my work online, and so I became part of the Shot on iPhone ad campaign for Apple. So I had photos and videos as well that were included in the campaign.
Nice.
And so because,
I actually remember that campaign.
Yeah, it's still going on, so it's a really great campaign. So what happened was I just became known for using the iPhone for photos and videos, and I really got into creating videos with just the iPhone. And with the technology now, I feel like it's really come a long way, and more people like you are recommending it to use it for if you're just getting started with video. And so I decided to create a course teaching exactly how to do that.
Do you feel like, coming from a background of like photography and video, that you're more limited by using a smartphone like the iPhone, or do you feel like you have just as much creative freedom?
Honestly, with the phones that we have now and with the new phones that are coming out, I think there is less and less of a limitation now. The only thing that I say that the phones cannot do just yet is that really nice bokeh blur background, but now you can actually...
The newest phones are
totally getting that, but with video, it's still not quite there yet. But otherwise, I think you can do so much more with your phone, and almost just as much as you can with your DSLR. And even more, I'd have to say, because you can actually edit on your phone and not on your DSLR.
That's true, and there are a lot of great mobile apps for editing. We talked about one of my favorite simple ones being Premiere Clip, but you actually brought up something I've been hearing a lot more about, LumaFusion.
Yes, LumaFusion is great. It is the pros editing tool for the iPhone, and it's a little bit pricey, but you can seriously do some serious editing using LumaFusion.
Well, you know that I'm a big fan of serious editing, so that's definitely what I like to hear. So now we're going to get into a little bit about what you guys need to know about selling online courses, and in this case we're going to be talking about the context of Teachable, but you could probably apply this to any online course platform that you want to use, or if you're using your own website. But like, why don't you tell us what made you have all the options out there? There are things like Kajabi, and there are things like Thinkific, and I'm getting ready to actually use all of these platforms for one thing or another. What made you specifically pick Teachable? Because I know you had to have looked at the other platforms.
I did look at the other platforms, but I have to say I personally experienced Teachable from a student's perspective first, whereas the other ones I did not experience it from a student's perspective. So maybe that's why I was biased.
So what you mean is that you actually took a course
that was taught using Teachable on the Teachable platform.
Which course did you end up taking?
I took a course that was for how to make online courses, which is so meta.
That's practical. That's very practical.
Yes. Yeah, and it was a really easy course, and I found it was very easy to go through each of the modules. And when I started looking at the different platforms, I really liked the fact that I could try out Teachable for free and put my whole course on there for free and not have to pay anything. So
you're able to outline your entire course, your lesson plan, build and develop everything free. And was it a trial period, or was it free until you just decide that you're going to upgrade?
Yes, it was free until I decided to upgrade. And the upgrade allowed me to have things such as giving out coupons for students who enrolled early, and for me to see, to do a lot more with my email lists and connecting to a lot of other third-party platforms.
So as someone who's never built an online course and it being new for you, Teachable was really practical because you didn't have to take any upfront risk.
Correct.
You could build everything out, you could get a feel for it, and then you could actually start selling and making money before going up to the next tier, so you could justify it. So for an absolute beginner, if you're nervous about it, then Teachable is really a good platform to start if you've never marketed or sold anything before.
Yes.
And that's kind of the background you were coming from.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
No, so that's super interesting. What, like, besides the free option and the minimal risk, like, what were some other unique features that you saw in Teachable that you didn't see in the other platforms?
I honestly liked the community that was around Teachable. I felt like there was a lot of support, and to be honest with you, I knew other people that were using Teachable, and so you know, we tend to use what other people recommend.
Well, like,
to
I
us.
know that Pat Flitt and Seth Godin, two mentors of mine from afar, use Teachable as the platform that they sell their online courses from.
Right.
And like, who were some like mentors that you were seeing that encouraged you to use the platform?
Well, one that I'm a really big fan of, Mariah Cause. So she's great, and I felt like she knew exactly what she was talking about. And she.
For those who are not familiar, tell us a little bit about.
So Mariah Cause, she's a great marketer, entrepreneur. She has her website's called femtrepreneur.co.
Okay.
So definitely check that out. I learned a lot from her in terms of how to use Squarespace, marketing, how to build up your list, and so she's just a really great mentor.
What did you end up using? You've brought up list building and your email list a couple of times.
Yes.
What platform did you end up using to build your email list? Because I think one of the things that people need to understand is that when you're getting ready to sell an online course, one of the ways you get traction if you don't have a big social media following, in your case, you have about like 3,000 Instagram followers, 600 YouTube subscribers, and you have some people in Twitter as well. But it's not like a huge you know, group of people. But I've always said that I learned this from, I believe, the founder of ConvertKit, if I'm not mistaken, that there's a such thing as a minimal viable audience. Even 2,000 people is more than enough. And if you have the right price point, converting even 10% of them is a 6 or 7 figure, you know, business. So, like, when it came to time to build your email list, what were the challenges there, and what platform did you go with?
So I actually started out on MailChimp, and I think a lot of people start with MailChimp because it is free.
Gary Vee still uses MailChimp.
Yeah, so I was using the free version. I decided to actually go and use ConvertKit because I felt limited by MailChimp with some of the things that I wanted to do with my list, such as
lead magnets.
Lead magnets is a big one. So I have a lot of lead magnets on my blog, and then also being able to easily create sequences. So if you sign up from my list, then you get a sequence of emails from me. So I thought it was really easy to create that on ConvertKit.
Now, actually, I have 2 affiliate links. I have one for MailChimp if you wanted to start there, even if you want to start with the free, because that does make it accessible.
Yes, definitely.
And then added all of their automation tools to that. But I will say that what I did, even though you guys know if you're in the Create Awesome Community newsletter that I started with MailChimp, but I've been moving slowly completely over to ConvertKit. I actually think I'm gonna hold on to some things in MailChimp, possibly even keep the primary stuff even for the newsletter for the people already on there, and just duplicate until I'm fully comfortable to get them over. But for lead magnets, for everything that I'm developing now, I've been moving completely over to ConvertKit. And for my free email sequence courses, I've been moving over to ConvertKit for all the reasons that you said. So that's super practical. So I'm going to link to both of those, MailChimp and ConvertKit. Pick whatever one you think is best for where you're at right now. There are limitations with MailChimp. It's a good place to start.
It's a great place to start.
When you're ready, I think it's time to move over to ConvertKit. And the best thing about ConvertKit for me is it stops the duplication of email addresses, which means you're not paying over and over, because like when you decide to go into the paid MailChimp, you'll end up paying more in the long run.
Yes, that's one thing I really love about it. Actually, you don't get those duplicates.
Exactly. So no, that was very practical. So like, tell us some of the things that we need to know before we start putting together our online course. What does that look like?
That is a good question. I think you have to really plan it out. You really have to plan out your outline. Even before you get onto any kind of platform, it's best to do your outline. Create your modules, really outline in each module what are you going to talk about, and then figure out the media that you want to use for those modules. So for me, I decided to have video. My whole class is video, but other people have, it's just a written course, so you read it, and then there are links out to different resources.
Are yours with you on camera, or are they slide presentations? Because I've seen a lot of people do online courses as slide presentations.
Right. So mine are just me on camera.
Okay. That's more my style. I have both coming up in my courses on personal branding, and then my YouTube development course. But you have to do what's comfortable for you. For me, what I found is that I'm obviously very comfortable on camera, not everyone might be, and then from an editing and practicality standpoint, it might be easier to use slides.
Yes,
and people are fine with that too. And sometimes it helps for them to see a visual diagram or see a list of things. So, you know, don't be overly concerned about whether or not you have to be on camera and able to make an online course. If you feel you're good at teaching something, maybe you're a podcaster, maybe you're more comfortable with audio, and then you just put slides over it. So,
yeah, and I say feel free to mix it up, because you can do that definitely on Teachable. You can have one module be video, another module be slides if you want. So you can really get creative with it.
Yep. So one of the things you mentioned after the outlining and that process, you talked about the email sequences, you talked about your list. What did you do initially to market your online course, or are you at that stage yet?
I'm at that stage right now. So well, before releasing the course, I did try to build up my list. And the way you do that is you reach out to other bloggers and you try to get featured. You reach out to publications and have them talk about your course. And then once, if you feel like you've done enough of that, I'm actually going into starting to figure out advertising on Facebook and
Instagram.
on Instagram, yeah, like you recommended. So I'm going into that phase of it right now.
Eventually, you might want to even look at YouTube advertising. That's something I'm starting to talk a lot about more. The AdWords for video product is actually really good at a cost per view standpoint.
Okay.
It could be as little as a penny per view to up to 3 to 5 cents per view. And for something, if you're targeting right, especially since you can target by topic in YouTube ads, you can target by age, location, language, all these things. It makes real practical sense, and it can be cheap to throw like $100, $150 for the month at that and get some real traction, and that audience is also very likely to convert. But I would say that between Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, that's strong for a marketing mix. Even if your budget is only like $500 to do advertising in the first month to get some sales. And then I would say take those initial sales and dump that back into a little bit more advertising once you figure out how to get the cost per sale down cost per acquisition. So
yeah, that's really good, and that's where I am right now, trying to figure that out. I'll definitely check out YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. So with selling your online courses, for the people that you've already sold to, has the feedback been positive?
Yes, definitely. I have taught this class before on a smaller scale, so I already knew that it was going to do well, so I kind of vetted out the class. But yeah, I've had people asking, when's your next course?
How did you know, and how did you qualify that you had a course that people were willing to buy?
That is a great question, because I felt like this is something that people always ask me about in person. Because I personally create videos on my smartphone, and people are like, how did you do that? Could you tell me what app? And just like, things that people ask you, then you should think, oh, maybe I should put something together trying to answer all of these questions.
Right. I think one of the challenges for creating an online course is figuring out how long everything is going to take. A lot of people don't want to overcommit and make a huge investment of time and money. How long did it really take you to put together your online course?
So I would say the filming and the editing part, because I did do a video course, it took me about 20 hours to get that all done. But then I did it all myself.
And that was for 2 hours of content?
For 2 hours of content, yes.
So in general, I've heard things like that, and I think the rule of thumb is for every hour of content that it's going to take 10 hours of production editing behind that. And I think that you proved that out.
Yes.
So just kind of keep that in mind, and that's why initially doing a smaller course and keeping it short is very practical.
Yeah, definitely. I think if it's your first time, I wouldn't overwhelm myself with...
Especially doing it by yourself.
Especially doing it by yourself. A 5-hour course, I mean, that's 50 hours of work right there. Right. So 2 hours was a really good
2 to 4 hours I think is very practical, because then doing your course is like a regular work week.
Yes.
So there's that. How long did it take you to put together the outline for your course?
For me, because I already knew a lot of the content, it was something that I've been asked about a lot. So it took me about half a day, I would say, to just sit down and really outline what I wanted to say. Okay.
No, that makes sense. And so you did all video. If you were going to add some written material a little bit to that, how much longer would that have taken?
I would say after putting in the videos, and I would say another half a day, or maybe 2/3 of a day.
So really not that long at all.
No, not that long at all. But I think the reason why it was, I think for me, so quick to put it all together was something that I've already been asked about. I already knew the questions, I already knew what people wanted to know. So it made it a little bit easier.
No, that makes perfect sense. And so how long to put it together on Teachable?
Teachable was really easy, actually. It didn't even take a day. It's just because I'm just uploading my videos. I didn't have written content, so that's what made it a little bit faster.
But even if you did, plugging that in as copy and paste.
Yeah, it's copy and paste of what you already wrote. And so the Teachable part was the quickest part, to be honest.
Okay, so again, not an overwhelming investment. You could put something together like this with a regular work week of time. And so I think that even in less than 30 days, someone could put together their first online course.
Absolutely.
And again, I mean, we're primarily talking about Teachable because that's what you have experience with,
yes.
But I'd imagine it's pretty much going to be just that straightforward in any platform that you choose for doing your online course. So, that's just something to keep in mind. So it's just good to know that this doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to take a long time.
Not at all.
So Cielo, thank you so much for talking with us about how you started your online course for the first time with Teachable. In fact, we're going to link to that down in the description below if you guys want to check it out. And where else can people find you on social media?
I am on YouTube. My channel is The STORYOGRAPHIST. I'm also an Instagrammer, of course. For being a photographer, you can't not be, at CIELO'S. So those are the places where I hang out most.
All right, awesome. So all of that will be linked down in the description below. Thank you again so much for coming on the channel.
This was fun.
Yeah. All right, you guys. So go ahead and ask us your questions in the comment section around any topics you have about selling and building your first online courses. Definitely make sure you check out teachable.com. We'll have a link for you in the description down below. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome stuff on both of our channels. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, create something awesome today, especially if it's your first online course. Take care.